This program on investing under regulation crowdfunding is not investment advice.
Rising with the crowd, power unbound, change makers lead where hope is found. Superpowers for good, shaping the fate. Investors and dreamers open the gate. Supercross stands loud, proud and true, building tomorrow for me and you.
Welcome to the Superpowers for Good show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe. We're here at the Super Crowd, and I really am excited about what we're doing today. I want to thank you. You know, we've had this remarkable phenomenon. Every week, our audience grows. And so I want to welcome those of you who are new, maybe haven't seen the show before. We see you. We're grateful to know that you're watching, and thank you for making the time for us. We're doing some fun, exciting things here at the Superpowers for Good show, highlighting change makers who are doing great things in the world, often with a focus on those who are raising capital, giving you an opportunity to participate in the great things they're doing. So stick around. We've got a great guest today. My guest is Scott Kern. He's a real estate developer who's got a great project in Memphis, Tennessee, that's building affordable housing, beautiful new project. Stick around. You want to learn more about what Scott's up to. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Devin. It's great to be here.
Well, we're thrilled to have you. You know, your project in Memphis really inspires me. You know, Memphis is a town that still experiences some challenges. And so it's great to see a project that will involve the community and make it better. Tell us about the project.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. Yeah, Memphis has had some challenges, but you know, Bellevue, Montgomery, it's a really interesting project. I like to think of it as a deconstructed apartment project. You know, typical apartments, you think of a 2 or 3 story walk up. But this is in Midtown Memphis, an area called Crosstown, and it's a collection of 11 buildings, 23 total units, and it's built around a courtyard. So it's very similar to what you see in a lot of other cities like San Diego called cottage courts. And so it's a very residential feeling multifamily project, and we're really excited about it. It is what we would term a missing middle housing project. So yeah, we're excited about it, and it's definitely something that Memphis needs and a lot of other cities need.
Yeah, it seems like it's designed, you know, sort of from the ground up, quite literally, to be a community rather
right.
than just merely a place to live. It's not just housing. It's a place where you can build community and have neighbors and friends, right?
Yeah, one of the really interesting facets about the project is this central courtyard that a majority of the units have front porches that face this kind of common green space. It's got some grilling stations, fire pits. And the idea is that, you know, you park your car, we've got secured parking, you park your car, and as you're walking to your front door, you're passing, you know, 2/3 of your neighbors. So it really is about creating a communal space. It's about seeing and knowing your neighbors, which you don't get in a large apartment building.
Yeah, that's magnificent. You know, and one of the things that I love is that this is not, although it looks very nice, you're not pricing this as a luxury place or a market rate. You've developed a strategy. You've got some tax credits and deferrals, I think, that make this possible for this to be affordable housing. Tell us a little bit about that aspect.
Yeah. You know, what Memphis has seen over the last decade is there was a lot of what we call, we use AMI, average median income, that kind of determines where the rental rates are. It's based on a percentage of the average median income of that area. So for the last decade, Memphis has done really well at the market rate deals, which is 120% of AMI, or LIHTC deals, low income housing tax credit deals, which is 60% or lower. there hasn't been a lot of new product delivered between that 80 and 120. And so we're sitting right at 80% AMI from a rent standpoint. What does that mean practically? What that means is that for a one bedroom, it's about $1,200 a month. For a two bedroom, $1,500 a month, compared to the high end of the market, where a one bedroom is about $1,600 a month, and a two bedroom's close to $2,000. So yeah, it's affordable in that sense that it's right around that 80% AMI, which is what we call workforce housing: nurses, students, firemen, teachers, etc.
Yeah, it's so vitally important for a community to have that kind of housing, and it looks to me like this area is it looks like kind of an infill project where you're really kind of renovating some land that what was this land before? Was this unused, or is it sort of a brownfield project? Tell us a little bit about what this land has been.
So I think it was built in the early 1900s. It used to be a public school, and the school closed probably 50 plus years ago. And this 2.5 acre site has been sitting vacant and unused for a minimum of 50 years. And what that means is that you had a site. It's a beautiful kind of grass site. It's in the middle of a primarily residential neighborhood, a lot of bungalows. And you had this site, the frontage is about 230 feet. So you had this enormous gap in the neighborhood, and it was surrounded by a chain link fence with razor wire on top. So yes, it is infill. That's something we're very concerned about as a company, is not going out into the suburbs and creating new residential development. We're very keen on doing this within the city limits. And this is very much a transitional neighborhood. Again, the crosstown neighborhood, there's a lot of good things happening. And we wanted to take advantage of that and provide some, not only value from the project we created, but stitching together that neighborhood by reintroducing a street front along our property's edge.
Interesting. I kind of hate to bring it up, and yet, it seems to me like one of the challenges that Memphis struggles with is a little bit of racial tension. Is that a fair concern? And if so, how do you see your project playing into that community, maybe helping to address that? Is that part of the thinking and the strategy?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. And, I think Memphis has a long history. One of my partners, actually, he's a native Memphian. I'm not. But he said, one of the things about Memphis and race is Memphis has been dealing with that race question for a very long time. And, not that Memphis has solved it by any means, but, they've been kind of dealing with that question for a long time. This neighborhood is actually a great example. As we were meeting the neighbors and talking to stakeholders in the neighborhood, we were trying to one, talk about the project and build consensus. This is a very diverse neighborhood. There are, African-American couples, white couples, Asian owners. So it's a very diverse neighborhood. You've got researchers from St. Jude, a real estate agent, a University of Memphis professor. There's a couple of nonprofits sprinkled in around this neighborhood. So, that's one issue, is that this neighborhood is very diverse. And two, kind of the way that we're approaching this project is, as you were alluding to earlier, is we are inviting the community to invest in this, in this project, and which I know we'll get to. But I think opening up that door and allowing anybody, and everybody who qualifies, basically being 18 years or older and minimum $1,000 to invest in this project. And that has largely been a barrier in Memphis and a lot of cities, to actually be able to invest in real estate and a real estate project, of this size. So I think that we're helping to kind of bridge that gap and give that opportunity.
Well, it is interesting that you're being so deliberate about building this with the community. And of course, you alluded to one of the aspect of that is you are raising capital from the crowd. You've got an offering on small change. In fact, we've got a short link for that on the screen, s4g.biz/Bellevue. It's the Bellevue Montgomery project. And why did you want to incorporate the crowd and the community in the capital part of this project? How does that influence your thinking and the nature of the project?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have worked on a lot of different real estate projects, and we were always working on kind of larger deals at previous companies. And when I launched this company 5 years ago, we were chasing larger deals, and we really had to pivot and look at something smaller just because of how the economy was going, right? Construction costs, interest rates, we all kind of know what happened. And so we pivoted and we looked at this smaller deal, and normally we would have an institutional investor, as our equity partner, a single source. With a smaller deal, it's ironically, on a smaller deal, you'd say, well, you're raising less capital. Wouldn't it be easier just to go to one person? Not really, because you have investors that are looking for institutional investment, or on a project deal this size, which total project size is about 3.6 million. It's a totally different category of investor. And so we started thinking about this, and we had been talking about whether we should look at crowdfunding over the last 5 years, and it just didn't seem to be the right fit. And we came across Small Change, and we looked at what Small Change was doing on their website with impact investing, smaller deals. I love what their CEO said. It democratizes investment. And the idea that you can open up a project to the community, the neighborhood, the city, the county, that was really appealing to us, to really get buy-in and involvement and kind of a sense of pride in this development project. So that's really what led us to Small Change, is that they kind of reached across the board, again, democratized investing. So that was appealing. Yeah.
Well, I think that's brilliant. Now, we've got to take a quick break here, Scott, forgive me. But folks, I'm here with Scott Kern. He's the real estate developer behind the Bellevue Montgomery project in Memphis, Tennessee. This is a beautiful, community-focused, affordable housing project that really is the kind of thing that I think a lot of impact investors want to support, raising capital on Small Change. I encourage you to check it out at s4g.biz/Bellevue. But listen, we've got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to shift gears with Scott. We're going to talk to Scott about his superpower. So stick around. You don't want to miss this.
Download a free copy of How to Make Money with Impact Crowdfunding, the book Sarah Hanks describes as
a fantastic overview, not just of crowdfunding investing, but of investing in general.
Andrew Savickas raved,
"This book offers unparalleled insights for anyone looking to make a difference."
Scan the QR code to get your copy.
Ready to take your small business to the next level? Honeycomb Credit empowers diverse entrepreneurs by connecting you with community-driven funding. Build customer relationships, amplify your brand, and grow with those who believe in you. Honeycomb Credit, where your community invests in you.
Scan the QR code to start today.
Join the Impact Crowdfunding movement. Get Superpowers for Good, your free daily newsletter with exclusive video replays, a podcast, and the latest investment opportunities open to everyone. Join the super crowd. Scan now so you can learn to make money while you make a difference.
Welcome back, everyone. We're having such a great conversation today with Scott Kern. He's the developer that is developing the Bellevue Montgomery project in Memphis, Tennessee. Great, beautiful, affordable housing project. Just love it. Hope you'll check it out. Links on the screen. But we're going to shift gears now, and we're going to talk to Scott about his superpower. We're going to get to know Scott a little more personally. So stick around. You don't want to miss this. Scott, I appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. I love this project. I know this isn't the first thing you've done. We didn't get a chance to talk about all the stuff that you've done, but you've done a lot of projects, have other things going on. You're a big deal. As we think about the success you're having, the difference you're making in the world, what is your superpower?
I love working on things that have an impact. It's interesting. I started out in this business working on shopping centers. I started off in San Diego, but I was faced a couple of years ago with a decision to continue in that kind of retail world, and a lot of suburban style deals, but I really felt like where the impact can be is in cities, making cities better, and having a project where I can drive by and have a sense that, man, we made an impact there. One, by filling up a vacant lot, or providing an affordable product, or I want to have an impact, and the way that I know how to do that is through real estate. One of my employees, Kendall, she was asking a couple of years ago. We were talking about Memphis and making some social change, and how do we affect that as a company? And I said, look, the best way I know how to do that is to deliver something that is thoughtful, high quality, and as excellent as it can be. And here's how that can change things: is you take a piece of land that was generating a couple $1,000s in real estate taxes a year, you put a development on it, and now it's generating $50,000, $100,000 in real estate taxes a year. That means that the city has more money for services, and it now has a great addition to the neighborhood. And so we're always looking at things like how can it enhance the neighborhood or the community, it makes me proud. It makes the people that work with me proud. So it's kind of what we focus on, is making an impact.
Yeah, I think that heartfelt desire to make a difference in the world is evident in the work that you're doing. I wonder if you could identify a very specific occasion where you had to make a decision, overcome a problem, or otherwise that illustrates how that impact focus drives what you do.
Yeah, I think one of the one that comes to mind is as we formed this partnership a couple of years ago. So I started my company about 5.5 years ago. This partnership, KPS Development, was actually formed out of that company about 2.5 years ago. And sitting down with my partners, and they are big in the retail world. And one of the things that we were talking about is, hey, we have these opportunities at these, a lot of these shopping centers. There's excess land. Should we be pursuing, there's an opportunity to pursue out parcel pads, which, could mean a bank or a Chick-fil-A or a Starbucks. And let me tell you, having done retail as long as I have, we could probably do those in our sleep and probably make some good money. But I'll be honest with you, as we sat and talked about it, it didn't move me. I don't know that I would have felt at the end of the day proud There's nothing wrong with that, those types of deals. But at the end of the day, I didn't want to pour my energy into those sorts of projects when we could be pouring our energy into something that would, in my opinion, have a much more profound impact. So that was a pretty strong pivot that we made, or at least a decision point where we decided to go one way and not the other.
That makes perfect sense. And I think it illustrates well that the power of that superpower of kind of driving toward impact in all that you do. So thank you for sharing that. Now, I think a lot of us that are watching today want to be more like you, right? We want to have impact in what we're doing, and we're struggling, at various levels, right? Even if we have the commitment, we're struggling to figure out how to have more impact. Could you give us some tips, some guidance, some help? How can we be and drive more impact, more like Scott Kern?
It's a good question. And I certainly don't have it all figured out, but I think one of the most profound kind of drivers is the organizations that you're involved with, whether professionally or personally, and also the people that you surround yourself with. And I'll use just a quick example. When we moved back to San Diego in 2011, I met a good friend and through church, and a lot of folks that he surrounded himself with were very focused on doing good in the San Diego community. And he started this organization that builds homes down in Mexico, and I went with him to build these houses, and I just saw what an impact housing has on families, on neighborhoods, on kids, on the community. So, I've always tried to devote time, that doesn't turn a profit for us. It doesn't elevate our brand. It's just a personal thing that I do. And we also, we get involved in community organizations here in Memphis or whatever city you're in. Get involved in a nonprofit group where there's a vision that's bigger than yourself. It's bigger than the profits that your company can make. It has a single vision about improving the city. There's different ways to do that, but improving the community, improving the city. But I think if I could give some advice, it's use the gifts and talents that you have outside of work for nonprofits, and maybe something associated with what you do, like real estate. So we're involved in ULI and some other programs here locally. I think that's the best way to stay in touch with what the community really needs and how you can make an impact. Don't waste your talents just making money for yourself would be my recommendation.
I love that. I love that recommendation. What great counsel. It can be so fulfilling to devote a little time and attention to something that takes your heart and mind off of the almighty dollar. Great.
Absolutely. Yep.
Now, Scott, we're about out of time here. Let me invite you to as we wrap up, to review for a minute how people can learn more, how they can invest, how they can connect with you. I know, people who listen to you and they see the impact you're having, and they're going to want to connect with you. So maybe you can point them to LinkedIn or something so they can make that connection. Maybe they want to talk to you before they invest. Tell them how to do that. Tell them, how to, again, remind them how to find your offering on small change, that sort of thing. Take a minute.
Sure. You can find us. The Bellevue Montgomery project is now live on Small Change at smallchange.co. As soon as you get to that landing page, you scroll through the projects, you'll find Bellevue Montgomery. I invite you to take a look at it, review the documents, and we'd love, to have your audience, your viewers invest in that project and make it a reality. You can find me on LinkedIn, Scott Kern, KPS Development Partners. We have a LinkedIn page for KPS Development Partners, where we try to give regular updates on where we're at with Bellevue, Montgomery, and other projects. And we're on Instagram, KPS Development. You can look us up there, and we'll give regular updates there as well.
Fantastic. Scott, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. We want to wish you every success with the great work that you're doing with this Bellevue Montgomery project and elsewhere.
Devin, thank you so much for this opportunity, and really appreciate it.
All righty now. Let's do some good.